Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josey. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josey. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josey, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is the power of the follow-up. When it comes to real estate investing, making a great first impression is important, but it's the follow-up that turns interest into action. Too many investors drop the ball after that initial conversation, missing out on deals, partnerships, and growth. Mastering the follow-up isn't just good for business, it helps build trust, credibility, and long-term success. Here are 5 reasons why every badass investor should prioritize the follow-up. Number 1, keeps you top of mind. People are busy and distracted. Consistent follow-up ensures you're remembered when the opportunity arises. Number 2, builds relationships. Following up shows you care about more than just closing a deal. You're interested in building genuine connections. Number 3, uncovers hidden opportunities. Sometimes a no just means not yet. Persistent, thoughtful follow-up can turn a cold lead into a hot prospect. Number 4, demonstrates professionalism. Timely, personalized follow-up sets you apart from the competition and shows you're serious about your business. And number 5, closes more deals. Let's face it, most deals don't happen on the first try. The fortune truly is in the follow-up. Don't leave money on the table by giving up too soon. So, don't let your hard work stop at the first conversation. Make the follow-up a non-negotiable part of your process. The most successful investors aren't always the flashiest. They're the ones who show up, stay consistent, and nurture every relationship. Remember, real estate isn't just about properties, it's about persistence, communication, and making every connection count. Now on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us Dave Seymour, a retired firefighter who became a top real estate investor during the last market crash. Dave is an expert in commercial, multifamily, and ground-up development transactions, and you might recognize him from A&E's Flipping Boston. His expertise has also landed him features on CBS, ABC, CNBC, and Fox News. At Freedom Venture Investments, Dave helps both new investors and large investment groups navigate complex deals, and through his education platform, Legacy Alliance, he shows busy professionals how to master investing for cash flow and equity. We are thrilled to have him on the show, so welcome, Dave Seymour.
Yes! Oh! Whenever I hear that intro, and obviously the marketing team kind of puts that stuff together. First of all, thanks for having me, Jen. But whenever I hear that stuff, I'm always like looking over my shoulder. You know what I mean? Like, who are they talking about? Who's that guy? And then you get that moment of clarity, and it's like, oh, it is me. I did transition and make a couple of changes, in my financial life. So yeah, badassery. That's me.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. And I wore my Sassy Lassie t-shirt for my Bostonian here with us today, even though you do business in Florida. I'm from Florida, but I don't claim it anymore. You can have it. But
what did they used to say? I'm from Florida. That was nice. That wasn't nice. That's what they said. I didn't say it.
You're so funny. And your company's mainly in Tampa. I'm telling you, and I'm from Miami. So the best Cuban sandwich I've ever had in my life was in Tampa in Ybor City. So
Okay, nice.
I'm planting that seed if you haven't
Nice.
experienced it yet.
I need to go down to Tampa and have a marketing meeting with my guys as soon as possible. Apparently,
Absolutely.
that's what needs to happen. I used to work in a
Absolutely.
fire department with a kid from the Dominican. His name was Mario Lopez. We used to call him Yo-Yo because every time he walk in a firehouse, he'd go, Yo-Yo, what's up? But this boy knew the best. My brother from another knew the very best Cuban sandwich joints and Dominican sandwich joints in Lynn, Mass, where I worked as a firefighter. So as soon as you say Cuban sandwiches, I start to salivate. I'm ready. Let's go.
It's perfection
Breast, just
between
nice.
pressed bread. Exactly. So,
So good. So
well,
good.
we aren't here to talk about ham and cheese and mustard and pickles, but I want to start though with your experience from being as it's written here, broke firefighter. And then you transitioned, I didn't say that word, you came from your people,
Yep.
to the CEO of a $350 million private equity fund. Million. So can you walk us through that transformation?
Yeah.
Just in 2 seconds.
I'll kind of try and be concise. One of my friends said to me one time, "You never use two words when you can use 200." So I'll do I'll do the very very best I can. I love the T-shirt. I love the sassy lassie and the four leaf clover. I am more Bostonian than anything else right now, but I'm actually an immigrant to the country. I was born in London. And I emigrated to the States back in '86. I met my wife in London, my first wife. If at first you don't succeed, try again. But my first wife was an American, and I emigrated and came in 1986. And I was living in the West Virginia market, Pittsburgh, West Virginia, down there in the middle of the Rust Belt, which was
Wow.
it's pretty depressed back then. It was all, no offense to anybody in that market, but beer bellies, ball caps, and chewing tobacco. And
And
I was definitely,
ATVs. Just
yeah,
tons of ATVs.
ATVs. They said yuns and y'all. I said, well, yuns and what? There's a song by Sting, I am an alien, I'm an American alien. And that was absolutely me. I was an alien in an alien nation. But I followed a path, if you will, Jen, that I think a lot of people follow. And it's not designed for financial independence. It's not designed for choice, right? If we can use that term, right? Better choices. And the path that I followed was the one that my father gave me, which was work hard, son. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. Do a solid 8 hours. Work for somebody else, son. Keep your head down. You know, keep your nose to the grindstone, David, and everything will be fine. And that is, it's a good message. It's okay, unless you got what I got, which is a terrible case of entrepreneurship, which makes you a really bad employee. It makes you opinionated. It makes you a dreamer. And
Oh,
anyway, long story short, I moved up to the New England market where I am now. Met my now wife, Mary Beth, who was a labor and delivery nurse. And I was working as a paramedic firefighter in the city of Lynn, Massachusetts. And we delivered a baby together, fell in love, started our own journey. And this is all around that period of time when the real estate market was in the crapper, as the earliest scenes of Flippin' Boston said. But prior to the real estate transition, I was a financial donkey. I was a financial illiterate. Nobody told me how to work money. Nobody taught me the power of leverage. Nobody ever gave me guidance around good debt and bad debt. And I found myself, see, when the only message is work harder, get in the car, go to work, punch in, the old mentality of punching in, right? Punch in a time clock. If that's the only thing then it's very difficult to dream bigger, right?
right.
It's hard. It's not easy. It's hard. And I was always told that if I wanted more, I had to work more. And the only commodity I had was time. So I'd have to trade time for money. And when I wanted more, I would trade more time to the point of about 120 hours a week is what I traded for time prior to coming
Oof.
into real estate. Almost three full-time jobs. I worked the fire department, I worked construction on my days off, and then I worked retail security nights and weekends. Yeah, pot roast police. That was me. I got stories, boy. I got stories. Man, you know what's interesting though? Like I can find the humor in that today,
Right.
Jim, but it wasn't funny.
No.
It cost me. It cost me. It wasn't even materially. It cost me my spirit. It cost me my faith. It cost me my belief in this American dream shit that they fed
Right.
me because it turned into a freaking nightmare because I had no financial education. Anyway, I my house was in pre-foreclosure, was coming into the true financial crisis. I'd worked construction and I'd watched the TV shows. So I knew, right? I knew that there was something else out there. I remember one day I was on a construction site, me and four South American gentlemen were trying to dig down to the frost line on an auger. You know what an auger is? A four-man auger where it
No.
drills down
Oh,
into the
yeah, yeah.
ground.
Yep.
Because it's so freaking cold here, you have to go down 4 feet before you can build any
Oof.
foundational stuff. And we were trying to put a deck in because I got to make money. Anyway, I'm on this auger with these guys spinning around. My iced coffee's turned into a popsicle. I'm covered in crap. I'm just beaten. I'm a beaten man. And this nice car pulled up on the job site. And I think it was like a BMW or something. I'm driving a shitbox F-250, and they got out of this car. There was two ladies and a gentleman, and the ladies were beautiful, beautiful women. They had the nice stuff on, you know what I mean? Their hair was blowing in the Boston breeze in January. The dude was like, I don't know, Gucci 101 or something. And I'm like, who are these aliens in a nation? And the guy on the job, he says to me, he goes, those are the investors.
Oh.
I said, well, investors? What do you mean? They're from the bank? He goes, no, they're investors. He said, they buy the house and then we fix it up and they sell it and they make the money. And I'm like, all right, I gotta talk to these people. I gotta get in there. Long story short, I had a couple of quick conversations with them and I had an epiphany. There are moments of inception, I believe, in life where a message is given and we either ignore it or we do something about it. The sad part, I think, is like 99.9% of people ignore it because of the fear of change, right?
Comfort
Keeps them away.
zones. Yep.
Yeah, comfort zones, all that stuff. I don't know. I'm a firefighter. I got some stupid gene when it comes to fear, right? It's kind of like whatever. But anyway, I talked to them and I figured out they weren't that smart. It wasn't like they came from Harvard. They weren't. They weren't from Harvard. They're like, yeah, we buy it for this, we put this into it, and we sell it for this because we know what the market says it will sell for. And I'm like, that's fifth grade math. And she looks at me and she goes, if you can do fifth grade math, you can be a real estate investor.
Nice.
I'm like, I'm in. I think I can do this. I went through some personal stuff, some challenges. My house was in foreclosure or pre-foreclosure. And I'm down at Lynn Beach, which is just north of Boston. I'm sitting down there on the beach and I'm going to go to war with God. I'm going to have a little rumble with the big guy. And I had done everything that my father had told me to do. He said, don't lie, cheat, and steal, work hard. I've done all of those things
Right.
to an extent far beyond most. And yet I wasn't a husband to my wife. I couldn't be a father to my kids. I was missing soccer matches and baseball and all of the stuff that kids do. It was hard. It was a hard freaking time. And there's no more hours to trade. I can't earn any
Right.
more money in the day. Anyway, I'm screaming and shouting at him and I'm making my case. And I'm like, have you forgotten me? Lord, I'm here. What's the plan? Because what I'm doing isn't working. And I heard absolutely nothing. There was no light. The waves didn't crash over the wall and I was swept out to Jonah and the whale. There was none of that. I expected a response. And I'm like, okay, then I got to go home and tell Mary Beth and the kids we got to go because I'm losing this house. I turned the ignition on in my truck. This gives me goosebumps every time I relay this story. I turned the ignition on in my truck. And as I turn it on, it was on news radio, right? Turn the ignition and a commercial comes over. Teach me foreclosure. A free 1.5 hour seminar coming to your neck of the woods. No money down real estate.
I had the same commercial I listened to.
I'm like, what? What? Now, God either is or he isn't.
Right.
For me, this is my belief, right? He either is or he isn't. Now, some people would say that's just a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's a God moment. Because it gave me God bumps. It gives me God bumps today when I tell it. And I'm like, okay. And I kind of had that flashback moment to that construction site. Anyway, I go screaming home and I'm like, baby, I figured it out. God said we're going to be real estate investors. If you ever get to meet my wife, she's French Canadian, 5'2", tiny little thing, fiery. I crumble every time I get anywhere near her. And she looked at me and she's like, really? Really, David? This is it now? Real estate investors? Really? And we went to a class, and it was the old Whitney organization. Russ Whitney was the big dog back then. And I heard something for the first time in my life that changed my life. I heard that the game I had been playing was a loser's bet. And I don't say that to demean anybody.
Right.
The odds are just slim. If all I do is put money in a 401k, I promise you the managers of that 401k account are doing very, very well. I heard things like, if you don't pay attention to your money, David, somebody else will.
That's right.
I heard things like there is good debt and bad debt. I heard that equity in a home is dead equity. I heard that offers can be made if you know the game and you know the rules and you know how to do it safely. Anyway, here was the defining moment. It came to that Sunday, and if you've ever attended a real estate education platform of any kind, yeah, they're there to sell education, but at the same time,
upsell. Yep.
yeah, at the same time, does it work? That's what I wanted to know. Does it work? Is it real? Saw a guy on social media the other day, and he said, real estate investing education is a scam. That was the clickbait, right? And I know this guy, he's also got a TV show. And then he said something which I thought was pretty profound. And he said, how many people spend money for gym memberships? And then out of that percentage of people that go to the gym, right, how many of them get the results and stay committed to the process to achieve what it was that they wanted to achieve? So if that number is small, which it is, as we know, I don't know what the actual numbers are, but if you've ever tried to lose weight, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to lose weight, right? If you've ever tried that and you don't have the rest of the pieces in play, it can be pretty difficult. And he said, does that mean that health and gyms are a scam, or does it mean that people are not committed? So I looked at Mary Beth, and it was a Sunday, and it was a $27,000 investment for 5 classes. Now this was over 16, 17 years ago. And I told you my house was in pre-foreclosure. And she looked at me and she said to me, she said, are you going to do this? I said, I don't have a choice. I don't. I said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Right. I
want to sleep. I want some peace. I want to be present. And I believe that this is the way to go. And she looked at me and she said, go get him, killer. She said, I'm proud of you, baby. She said, I love you. Yeah.
Aww.
She said, I love you. I support you in whatever you want to do. And I just looked back at her and I said, I'm so glad you said that, because I don't have any room on my credit cards. I've got to use yours. but she became my first private lender.
I love it.
And then I did deals and I kept going no matter what. And that's it. I mean, and from that point on, it was, you know what was interesting though? There were about, I want to say 300 people in that class. And I'm like, let's go. Come on. Yeah, we're real estate investors. I bring the camaraderie mentality of the fire department to it. We're going to go together. We're going to fight the beast. Let's go. And I'm running and I'm doing and I'm looking, and they're all fading away.
Right.
They're all fading away. And I'm like, where did everybody go? Hello, where are you? So it's that commitment component that I think makes all the difference. So I know that was kind of long-winded, but
I love that story.
it's the transition. Yeah.
And so many people have similar stories, and it's so important to invest in your education, because when it hurts that bad at $27,000, mine was 30, by the way. And I did mine with Than and Paul, who also had a show on A&E like you did.
Good friends of mine, fortune builders. I spoke with those guys for years. Best education in the market other than mine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 1,000% to that. Yeah. So I love that you said all that. For me, I want to now, you've done this education you're doing the education program, and you made that full investment into it, full-hearted. Out of those 300 people in the room, how many people are still real estate investors?
I have no idea, Jen. I know.
I think back to mine, and there was because we had about 500 in that room at the time. Then they came back, people joined, and there's about 30 of us who did the little course together in the beginning. And not one is still doing it from my original group, but there are still others in there. But I agree 1,000%. And the relationships you build from those education programs, from your education program, also is a huge stepping stone. So before we get into other topics here, I want to talk about flipping Boston. Okay. Yeah. And I have had girlfriends of mine like, oh, Jen, you'd be so great on a TV show. I'm like, hell no. I have no desire to do it. I worked my ass off so that I could be my own boss and not have to answer to anybody else. But I'm just curious, going from Firefighter and then into this, did you have deals already? What was the whole actual experience of filming? Because it's not like how it is on TV. You got to throw some drama in there, things like that.
Say, are you telling me it's manufactured, young lady?
What?
Are you wearing a wire? Is anybody going to hear this conversation? Don't you know I signed a Secrets Act?
I have a handful of friends who have done shows. I actually used to work with Tariq El Moussa. I worked in his coaching program, and all of the coaches were from Fortune Builders, by the way. If that tells you anything. So
Tariq too. He was running with us in Vegas for a while. He's a
good
cool
guy.
Dude.
He's a good guy. So do you recommend to the listeners who are like, I want to have my own TV show? They think that's like the epitome. Just talk them off the ledge for me, please. But
look,
how did it benefit you?
It's marketing. I wouldn't be on this great call with you right now if I didn't have that TV show, right?
I don't believe
so. For me, the reason it manifested the way that it did was because I sound like the Greek, because I was one of the 300. Because I did what I invested in, because I got the results, I got recognized by the people that were teaching me. Because once you get in that education funnel, you know as well as anybody else, you get sucked into anything and everything that's out there. And there was a gentleman on the South Shore here in Massachusetts who was a multifamily investor and educator. And I got to know him, and I got to know a couple of other guys. And one of the guys said to me one day, he said, why don't you teach? I'm like, are you out of your trees? Teach what? I can teach people how to get in credit card debt for $75,000. I'm really good at that. I could teach people how to work their ass off and lose everything. I could teach them that. And the guy said to me, he goes, that's exactly what they need to hear. Yep. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, because you're now having the results. And some of the OGs from the education space became very good friends of mine. And I found that I could stand in an education environment like that, be truthful, tell you how I've done well and how I've failed miserably. And these are the results that I have, and people resonated with that. So if that's the world that I'm now in, you begin to change I always love the 5 people you hang around with the most, right? Who's your influences? So my influences went from the Firehouse, which is great, to Gary Vaynerchuk was on the periphery of this group that I was hanging around with. Russell Brunson, Kiyosaki, and I'm not saying they're my buddies, but there was influences there. We knew each other. And Russell Brunson sent me a link, and he said, "Dave, you're a funny bastard." He said, "I like
looks aren't everything, but
looks
keep going.
aren't everything. You handsome devil." He said, "You're a funny bastard." He said, "I've seen you on stages when you teach and close and sell." He said, "I think you could be good for this." And it was a link to that TV show.
Nice.
So I had been around enough marketers to know that, to your point, oh my God, I should be on a TV show. My life will change. There's millions of people out there that want that. And I've
Right.
come across them. I didn't want it, but I knew that there was value in it. I wasn't quite sure what it was. Anyway, I sent in an application. It was just an online vanilla fill out an application for this thing because Russell told me to. And I needed to separate myself from the rest of the pack. So I loaded my application with profanity, bad profanity, like things that you should never say in front of anybody. The name of your company, I put on there, Go F Yourself LLC was the name of my company. Don't call me a-hole. Don't waste my effing time. I'm a badass firefighter, investor, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they called. I hung up on them, prayed that they would call back. They called back. Guy's laughing his balls off. And he's like, "Dude, you're a funny guy." I go, "Yeah, I'm hilarious. Let's do a TV show. Come on, let's go." And that's where it started. And we did 3 episodes, me and my ex-partner, Pete the Greek. And I was early in my career when that TV show started.
Yep.
Pete had some trajectory, been in the game a few years longer. But I just said to him, I said, "Look, man, let's just do this thing. It's probably nothing's going to happen." And we did, I think it was 4 episodes. And we got the highest ratings on a Saturday morning. And I'm calling Than, actually. I'm like, "Than." He's like, "Well," I go, "What do I do now?" He's like, "Do some more if you can." I'm like, "Okay, man, thank you." And they came back and they wanted 13 episodes. So
Nice.
you got to crank up your marketing. Then they wanted another 13. And then the reason that the show ended was because of some legal challenges that A&E had with the IP of Flip This, whatever. So it was
Ah,
Flip This House was the Fan generation. And then they went to Flipping San Diego, Flipping Boston, and Flipping Vegas was the only one that survived because it was prior to the IP lawsuit.
interesting. I didn't know all
So we're
that.
like, okay, so we did our time with it. So it was fun. The manufactured stuff got pretty old in the end,
Mhm.
but we had some really good stuff in our show. One of the things that I loved about my ex-partner Pete was he wanted it by the numbers, none of this BS stuff, right? He didn't want any of this manufactured Mickey Mouse, even the product placement that we received, right? The free stuff, he would deduct that or put in a
Nice.
line item on the pro forma of what we would have paid if we were buying hardwood flooring or whatever the product placement was. So it was fun. I mean, there was a lot of there's some egos in there, and it is what it is. It's done. I used to be cool. I ain't cool anymore. All right.
I like how you said your ego is not your amigo.
Yeah, my ego is not my amigo. I mean, you end up in that environment, and I saw it with other TV personalities that were around us at that time. We'd be We'd be sitting in Vegas, for example, and the newer TV personalities would show up for
Hmm.
these meetings or these dinners, and maybe we've been there a year before them, and they show up timid, they show up appreciative, they show up with questions. A year later, they're showing up with a Bichon Frise under their arm and an entourage behind them. I'm like, what happened? You know what I mean? You didn't have a dog. You didn't like dogs. Now you
Oh
got a
my,
dog, a Gucci handbag, and 5 people standing behind you trying to take notes. You know what I mean? It's like, come on.
yeah,
Come on.
agreed.
So anyway, yeah,
Well,
I try and stay grounded.
well, I
Try and stay.
appreciate you sharing that experience, and I know a handful of people who've done shows and still have some shows out there. And do you know Delmar Cross and Keisha? They're in Tampa.
Yeah,
Yes,
I know them
they
through the mastermind over there, family mastermind with
nice.
Matt Andrews and those guys. Domar's good peeps.
He's good people. Yes.
John Scheinberger,
Um,
he does the
yes.
24-hour flip.
Steinberger.
Steinberger, John.
Yes.
John's a
Yes.
good dude too.
Yeah.
But look, you can't flip a house in 24 hours, John. Stop it. You know what I mean? People
Agreed.
think you can. You can't.
Well,
Inspections alone are going to take you over 30 days. Come
yeah.
on. But anyway, it's all good. It's a show. It's a TV show.
All right. Well, I could talk to you for hours on that because I do enjoy the drama at times,
Yeah.
and it's a good laugh for some brain mush in the evenings when
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you've just dealt with your tile guy like dropping boxes of tile or whatever. So, all right. But we're going to change topics here. And you're known for your expertise in commercial, multifamily, and ground up development deals. So for someone just starting out, which is my avatar, the people who listen, what investment strategies do you recommend, and how do you assess a good deal? This is a loaded question. How do you assess a good deal in today's market?
Yeah, great questions. And I'm going to be a little contrarian. Your number one investment strategy is know what the hell you're doing. That's it. Look, I don't care whether you're doing a single family flip, you're trying to wholesale a contract, you're trying to buy a 12-unit cash flowing asset, you're trying to buy a strip mall, a piece of self-storage, mixed use, whatever it is that your flavor of the day is, you have to know what the hell you're doing.
Right.
I've seen so many people get hurt over the years through lack of education that it's heartbreaking, because we walk away from 100 deals to do one. Okay. The other 99, some idiot's going to pick that up and destroy themselves or their investors or whatever the case may be. So, and I don't mean that's not the right word to use, idiot. They're not idiots. They're just uneducated, right?
Yes.
When somebody, we used to call, what the heck do we call them? Dig jams. A lot of what we used to call in fortune builders were dig jams, which stands for damn, I'm good, just ask me, right? People want to tell you what they know. And then when they try and execute on that knowledge, they don't do so well. So what are we doing today? We've been able to fine-tune capital raising for accredited investors, which is usually a higher net worth type individual. But what we're able to do is we will highlight pockets of markets throughout the US where data sets line up that makes sense for an investment to take place. So we are primarily in the multifamily arena. We were in ground up construction and continued to be because the market was so undersupplied where we were building. Now we're beginning to see, I wouldn't say saturation, because that's just a dumb statement to make. No market is saturated.
It's an overused word, yes.
Yeah, there's pockets of deal flow in every market in the country if you know where to look, right? If you understand the market, if you know cost per square to build, if rent stabilizing, are they decreasing, are they increasing? Was there a population demand? What we see now nationwide is the fact that after all of the stupidity of the free money that came into the market after COVID, supply and demand was so out of whack. It's just so out of whack. It's like the fundamentals of commerce just went out the window. People were getting billions of dollars nationwide, right? Without any transference of goods and services. If you do that, guess what's going to happen to everything? You get Inflation Nation. Check it out, by the way. Inflation Nation is a documentary that we just released that you can find on YouTube, I believe.
Nice.
But anyway, you see why I did that?
That was great.
Inflation Nation, yeah. We really dug deep on this. We spent a lot of time looking at what the hell is going on. What's going on with this digital currency concept? What's going on with all of that money coming into the market? What's going on with inflation? What is its true drivers? And there is enough data and information out there that we uncovered to show that it's intentional. And whether you're blue or red, doesn't matter.
Right.
The data supports it. And I just saw JD at a conference, and his statement was, this administration is 100% behind cryptocurrency. Crypto now has a friend in the government. Be careful of that. That's all I'm going to say. Be careful of that. If you get a chance, watch Inflation Nation. We delve into that stuff too. So why am I telling you all of that? What are we doing? We are going to the fundamentals that will never, ever change, which is sticks and bricks.
Good.
Sticks and bricks. People will always need a place to live.
Absolutely.
If you're a house flipper and you're getting them a sexy house, guess what? They can't afford it. Your buying pool is minimal. So where is the action? The action is in the rental market. I've got a son, he's 30 years old. Him and his wife are probably over 350 combined, right? Smart kids, computer science majors, right? Smart. They can't afford a house. Can't afford it. Even with their dad, who knows the game, they can't afford a house.
Wow.
I cannot find them an off-market deal that makes sense. So what that means is that we now have this massive pool of renters by choice. Used to be renters didn't have a choice. I have to rent because I don't have enough money to buy a house. Now these are people who are renters by choice. They're by choice because the market is overpriced. They can't afford it. But they're also renters by choice because they're like, I don't want the headaches that come with home ownership.
Yep.
So what do they want? They want a clean, decent, affordable housing option. Now, whether that's a multifamily community, whether that's single family build for rent communities, whether that's your high-end Miami condo rental overlooking the ocean, right? So when we start delving into those strategies, we find a lot of opportunities still in the southern Sunbelt market
Yep.
primarily, but we're beginning to see options and opportunities outside of it. And basically, what we do is we raise investor capital. We'll put that investor capital into a deal like your money down, if you will, to buy the deal. We'll find the financing afterwards, and then we reposition a multifamily asset, make it more valuable. Maybe we'll build one from the ground up. Maybe we'll just clean out the tenant base and start with a new tenant base. But that affords an opportunity for investors to sit out, right? Choose not to participate in inflation, choose not to participate in a potential recession, choose not to participate in the volatility and the absolute freaking chaos of the market. We're up today because Trump went to the bathroom. We're down today because Trump didn't go to the bathroom. Trump said this and he didn't say that. And it's like, come on, man, you knee-jerk reactions.
Yeah.
So Wall Street is a bunch of bandits. They've been criminals for a very long time. They continue to do so. They have a bigger marketing budget than I do. So you're going to hear more about Schwab than you are about Freedom Venture Investments. You're dumb enough to follow the green line at Fidelity. That's all you have to do, stupid. Just follow the green line. Give us your money. I get a little soapboxy. So anyway, we go to the fundamentals. We show people we target out to double their money every 3 to 5 years. We do that through their retirement accounts with their 401ks. We teach them how to self-direct 401k accounts. We do it through solo Ks for business owners, gives them a massive opportunity, massive tax benefits. And it's a different game. It's a different
Yeah.
game today. I'm more into the financial side of it all today than I am in, oh, that's a nice paint color. Let's put that on the wall. But it doesn't mean I won't flip a house if I find one. I just did one the other week, so it's all good.
Well, I love that you went into all of that because some of my listeners they are doing this as a side hustle and they are getting tired because of the volatile of the market and
Sure.
how prices are going up. I mean, just my electrician, I'm like, you want what price per square foot to build new now? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
So everything is going up in price and it's getting tougher. I'm also into the short-term rental market and even buying something to short-term rent, those numbers aren't even making sense anymore because of the cost of everything. But what you are offering people is they can stay in the real estate game, but they will give you their money either through, you said, a self-directed IRA, what other, just from their savings account.
Some people some people sit on cash, Jen. They think that if they leave it in the bank, it's okay when they're devaluing the dollar every day. Some people will liquidate assets out of the stock market, their portfolio. They'll tune that down.
1031
put it into hard
exchanges.
assets.
Do you do
Sorry?
Do you have people can they?
Sure, 1031s. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. We can look at a 1031 exchange. The challenge with a 1031 exchanges is they need to, it's called a tenant in common, a TIC.
Okay.
They need to do a TIC strategy, which allows them to come in as a group with a 1031. Otherwise, a 1031 is just one entity in and out on a deal. So we'll bring in multiple entities on a deal. But there's ways when you know the rules and you've got the right legal reps, you can figure a way through. Where we're at today is we're primarily focused on training and educating up an army of people to learn and do this business the way that we've learned to do it, the way that we do
Nice.
it. And the reason we do that is I promise you, we have made all the mistakes that need to be made. You pay for education one way or another is what the old timers used to tell me. You either pay for it in your education or you pay for it in your mistakes. But you're going to pay. You're going to pay. If you hear from somebody like me who says you're going to pay, and your like guards are up and fear is in and all of that, then yeah, this isn't for you. And
Right.
that's okay. Go carry on going to your job. And I don't say that again to demean anybody. That's
Yep.
not my point. But if you are that individual who says, okay, what I've been doing isn't working, it's got me to a point, and I shared that in my own story where I couldn't be present with the people that I loved.
Right.
All I wanted was more than 4 hours sleep. Continually would have been nice, right? But it wasn't my world. So if you're that person who says, okay, can I follow a plan? Can I invest a couple of bucks in myself and follow a plan? And the reason, and you spent 30, I spent 27. Our education is less than half of that. And even that is a number that we used to make sure that people are serious.
Right.
Right? Because I don't want somebody to invest in themselves half-assed.
Yes.
This is the badassery environment, not the half-assery environment, right?
Yes.
I'm not interested in working with dig jams. I'm not interested in people telling me what they know. You're talking to me. And I don't say that to raise my ego. You came to me with a question. You came to me with a need. I didn't come to you. I don't need your investment dollars into your education. What I do need is an opportunity to underwrite more deals and potentially capitalize your deal because you found the one that I couldn't. But
Right.
I'm not going to look at the crap that you just found on Crexy or LoopNet or the MLS or some guy told a guy that this was the one, and there's 20 people who want to be in this chain of command, if you will, on a real estate transaction. So that's what we do today. We're training people and we're showing them how to find these assets that have hidden value in them. I just did a whole training on master deeds and what it looks like to put a master deed agreement in on a distressed multifamily property owner.
Nice.
Massive power in these contracts if you know how to use them. And we teach people how to find them, use them, and capitalize them.
Look how smart you are coming from
imagine
from,
that.
from firefighter to this and developing.
Smart.
So you have two companies though that we are discussing here. We kind of meshed both of them together. But for the listeners, if they don't want to get their fingernails dirty and have money that they want to invest, they actually maybe love their W-2, love working for the man.
Yeah.
They're making a shit ton of money. They want to invest it somewhere. They can go to freedomventure.com, correct?
Correct. Yeah,
And
freedomventure.com.
Do they have to be a accredited investor?
We primarily work with accredited investors. Okay. Yes. Occasionally we'll have offerings that will bring in non-accredited investors. To the best of my recollection, there's nothing there for that right now. Okay. But an accredited investor, I mean, the average investment is anywhere between 100 to 250,000. So if all you got is 10 grand in your bank account, I love you. Even though you're an accredited investor, this isn't for you.
Right.
I would highly recommend you educate yourself and go find deals and let us capitalize them.
Where they should go to Legacy Alliance.
Legacy Alliance, yeah.
Yes.
LegacyAlliance.club. If they go over there, they'll have an opportunity to attend a presentation that we put together with my friends down in Tampa. And that presentation is about the Legacy Alliance Club. That club offers an opportunity for two things. That club offers capital at a higher rate for investors. So it's a preferred rate of return. Nice. Most offerings out there for non-club members are anywhere between 6 and 8%. We will juice that capital percentage return to 8 to 10% for club members. So some people look at that and they go, okay, the investment to be in the club and have access to these deals is worth it for the better return profile. And then some people come in and they say, I want to learn this business. I want to learn the good, the bad, and the ugly. I want to go out and find deal flow. Maybe put some money in themselves, maybe use our capital and the access that we have, and we can walk them through that as well. But they have to get educated first. The time is way too precious to not have the fundamentals squared away. So
absolutely.
Yeah, those are the two places.
Well, your story is truly inspiring and very similar to so many of the listeners today. And I was a school teacher for 16 years, got so burned out. I went into an equally abusive industry. I went to health insurance because that was the only thing hiring. I know, because everybody loves their health insurance. And then I stumbled across a 2-hour free meeting, and my husband and I went and we did the upsell to the long weekend. And then by the end,
Mastery, yeah.
and I'm like, we are not paid that much money. And by the end, I'm like, take my money. And it is the greatest thing I ever did, as same for you as well. But I'm just curious, before we go to the second part of the podcast here, is when things get tough, what kept you going, and how do you maintain your motivation today? Because you and I agree, it's very up and down all over the place right now. So what has kept you going through the years?
That's a good question. Look, something I don't always share is the fact that at 23 years old, I got sober, right? I've just picked up, I'm 50 something. What am I, 58? So I just picked up 35 years without a drink, a drug, a mood, a mind altering substance. So my sobriety led to my faith. I even have a tattoo on my arm, and it's in Latin, and it says "Repone timorem meum cum fide," which is Latin for "replace my fear with faith."
Nice.
So I'm kind of bulletproof, and I don't mean that to sound cocky or clever. God's plan is always better than mine. I do the very, very best I can. I promise you, Jen, right? I lean into adversity. I lean into challenges, the firefighter mentality. We never quit, lay down, or surrender. I never go alone. I lock arms with investors. I lock arms with team members. And it's like, let's go. Where are we going? Let's go. Like it's in my DNA to do that.
Nice.
And I've been through some and are going through some pretty strong challenges right now. But I know that there's always peace at the end of the day. It's the analogies of it's always dark before the light. The only way out is through. Breathe. All will be well. All will be well.
Yep.
And I get to see that manifest itself as long as I get out of the way. You know what I mean? And you put that together with go get 'em, killer, I'm proud of you, I love you, and 3 incredible sons, 30 years old from my prior marriage, my 15-year-old and my 13-year-old, all boys. I'm a blessed guy. I'm a blessed guy. If the R on T, which is the R wave, hits the T wave in the heart, and I check out, hopefully I did a good job. When I get up there, I just wanna look at the guy and say, how'd I do? Did I do all right?
Well,
So that keeps me going. That keeps me going.
I'm appreciative of that message, because a lot of times when you're an entrepreneur, you are just in the grind for so long, and you forget. And sometimes you forget about your faith, and having it foremost right there on your arm and as a reminder all the time. I appreciate you sharing that. So thank you.
Yeah, you're
and
welcome.
I would like to go to the second part of the podcast here, which is what makes Dave Seymour a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS. And the first letter is B for book. What's a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
That's actually an easy one. It's probably not on the top of the list either. It was The Secret by Rhonda Byrne.
I love The Secret.
Yeah. What you think about is what you bring about. Manifestation has been biblical for as far back as we can remember. If you believe you can and you believe you can't, you're right.
Yes.
So I try and deploy that philosophy as often as I can.
Absolutely. I found Jack Canfield through The Secret, and because he was in the movie as well and in the book, but I did his program for Train the Trainer, and I just absolutely love me some Jack Canfield. He did the Chicken Soup for the Soul books.
So you're going to love this. You ready?
Stop it.
I'm sitting in the firehouse. I'm watching The Secret, and I too get sucked into the Jack Canfield void, right? I get sucked in there. Fast forward, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I'm sitting at this crappy little desk in my bedroom at the firehouse, and I'm like, okay, let's see if this manifestation shit works. I said, I want to spend a day with Jack Canfield. I can see it happening. It's going to happen. It's going to be good. Fast forward a year later, got a TV show. I'm getting invited on stages, blah, blah, blah. And I was in Philadelphia. I come off the stage, and a lady comes up to me, and she said, hey, I really enjoyed your speech. I do like keynote speaking and stuff. She said, very motivational, a lot of good content. I just want to say thank you. I enjoyed it. I said, Appreciate it. I said, and who are you? And she gave me a name. She said, I'm Jack Canfield's personal assistant. I'm like, what? She goes, yeah. And I said to her, I said, does Jack do any personal one-on-one coaching? She said, he does not do that anymore. He'll make an exception once in a while for exceptional people, but he doesn't do that anymore. And I said, well, you just met somebody who's exceptional. And three months later, I got on a flight, drove to Jack's house, hung out with him at his house. He's funny. He says to me, he goes, my assistant says you're exceptional. I said, you're not so bad yourself, Jack. And he said, what can I do for you? I said, you've already done it. He goes, what do you mean? I said, you've already done it. I said, the proof is in the manifestation. I said, this stuff isn't imaginary. It's reality. And I said, I want to thank you for that. And to this day, if I reach out, he'll do a podcast with me and stuff. And it's good.
Oh my God.
Cost me 25 grand, by the way.
I'm sure. I know. I have seen those price tags.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That is mind blowing. Thank you for sharing that story. I was just going through watching some of his videos actually just yesterday. So I do adore
secrets.
That.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Success principles. Yes.
Principles. Yep. Yeah.
All right. Oh, goodness. I could talk to you all day. All right. The first A in Badass is for advice. You've given us some great advice, but what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Yeah. Educate, don't speculate. Oh, that's it.
Very good.
That was the one-liner I used on the first TV interview we ever had. It was given to me, and I've passed it along wherever I can. Educate, don't speculate. If you do that, you're already ahead of the curve.
Perfect. Well said. All right. The D in Badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
Yeah, faith, family, investors, right? My number one job is to be a custodian and an advocate for the investors. So that drives me. When they invest with you, have you done everything that you can to complete that investment? So that's what drives me.
Very good. All right. The second A in Badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on? It could be anything. I've never been
good at goal setting. I mean,
really?
I wouldn't mind losing maybe 40 pounds. I've been eating my pain recently. I have a goal of feeling more connected to what's around me up there. I struggle with that sometimes. Mm-hmm. So I joined a local church, and it's kind of like a Southern church, which is kind of an anomaly up here in Boston, called the Netcast Church. We're actually at the mall. And the pastor's become a good friend of mine. We have group every Thursday night. The family go over. So I'd aspire to be closer to God and my faith in Jesus and what those principles were that were given so long ago that apply today even more, I think.
Well, that is lovely. Thank you. All right. The first S in Badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
Yeah, one individual. His name is Eric Wilson. He's a chief operations officer. He is all that system.
He's your whole system.
All I want to see is an Excel spreadsheet in the bottom right-hand corner. If that number looks good, we'll do it. Yeah, those are my systems. I mean, look, I've deferred everything in my career to do that because I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not. You don't have to know everything to do something. You don't. You just have to have the right people around you, mentors, coaches, systems, etc. So yeah.
Absolutely. I can remember fairly early on in our real estate investing where just finding the right GC. And I told my husband, and getting a good one and then putting your talents in them so they never disappear. But I did tell my husband that I did want to sleep with a GC someday. And he's like, hoping he'd say which one, but he ended up getting his GC license. So that was my way to kind of sneak that in there. Be like, I've always wanted to sleep with a GC.
Here, brother. Here, brother. What do you got in your tool belt, honey?
Oh my goodness. Good. I can't believe I even just went there. All right.
Yeah, you can.
I could talk to you all day, but the final S in Badass is for success. What does success mean to Dave Seymour?
Well, there's personal success and business success, right? Yep. So I'll focus on personal success, seeing as we've kind of ended up and landed there. I spent so many years disconnected from people who love me that success for me today is my 15-year-old who comes to me with absolutely everything that is
Aw.
going on with him, right? Same with my 13-year-old. The fact that I can be a disciplinarian and at the end of it, they love me.
Yep.
The fact that I can be there for my wife. I mean, those are all success monikers for me. And then in business, good reputation, good deals, good returns, and never giving up. I mean, I'm not going to retire. I can't. I'm having too much fun. Misery,
Absolutely.
fun, misery, fun, joy, misery, fun, pain, joy.
That's entrepreneurship all over the place.
There you go. That's it.
Well, Dave, this has been absolutely fantastic interview. I'm so appreciative of you for sharing your badassery with us today. And for the listeners, clearly you are a gem in this industry. And how can they reach out to you if they want to join Legacy Alliance, or if they want to just have you work their money for them, take the money out for parties and bring some friends home with it. So
there you go.
How do they find you? Yes.
Yeah. Let one free so it can come back with 2 or 3. On the investment, right? On the investment side, you can contact us at freedomventure.com to get a copy of our education materials. Look at what we offer there. You can go to legacyalliance.club. Again, our marketing guys will reach out to you, Jim. We got a couple of books that we're about to drop.
Nice.
So those are good pieces to start with.
Yep.
Yeah, get in there. Start getting your feet wet, and then we can move from there.
Well, I appreciate you so much for being here and sharing your story. And so many of the listeners have very similar stories, as do I. So thank you, Dave, for being here with us today.
It's a good call. Thank you.
Absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josey by visiting therealjenjosey.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.